Welcome back to World History. Today, we begin the epic journey of how the United States transformed from a rebellious colony into one of the most powerful nations on Earth. This is not just a timeline, it's a story of vision, sacrifice, and unstoppable ambition. As the majestic bald eagle soars across the sky at sunrise, its wings stretch above a waving American flag and a glowing city skyline. This powerful symbol reflects the spirit of a nation that dared to dream big. But that dream didn't come easy. It began with determination on the icy waters of the Delaware River. Against stormy skies and freezing winds, General George Washington led a daring crossing that would mark a turning point in the Revolutionary War. The courage captured in that moment became the foundation of a new republic, one that would challenge empires. Fast forward to the 1800s. The sound of hammers and steam filled the air as America dove headfirst into the Industrial Revolution. Inside blazing factories, workers toiled beside glowing furnaces, building machines that would fuel the nation's economic engine. Steel, railroads, and innovation were laying the groundwork for a rising power. This industrial strength set the stage for America's role in the global conflicts of the 20th century. On the beaches of Normandy in 1944, U.S. soldiers stormed ashore under enemy fire, their flag flapping defiantly in the wind. D-Day was more than a military operation. It was a signal to the world that the United States had arrived as a major force in global affairs. Back home, skyscrapers scraped the heavens. The construction of the Empire State Building was not just a feat of engineering, it was a symbol of American grit, built in the face of the Great Depression. While much of the world struggled, the U.S. kept building, kept dreaming. By 1945, America was no longer just a participant in world events, it was a leader. At the Yalta Conference, Roosevelt sat alongside Churchill and Stalin, carving the shape of the post-war world. The decisions made in that dramatic room would influence geopolitics for generations. Then came a moment that forever changed warfare and international power. The dropping of the atomic bomb over Hiroshima. The terrifying glow from the blast marked the beginning of the nuclear age. The United States had not only ended a war, but shown the world a new kind of dominance. But power wasn't just measured in weapons. In the shadows of the Cold War, CIA agents exchanged secrets in misty alleys as an invisible battle raged between ideologies. This silent war shaped governments, toppled regimes, and kept the world on edge, and then humanity looked up. In Mission Control, NASA scientists huddled around glowing panels as Apollo 11 made history. When Buzz Aldrin saluted the American flag on the moon, the stars and stripes weren't just planted in lunar soil, they were etched into human history. The foundation was now set. The United States had risen, not by accident, but through relentless ambition and vision. And this was just the beginning. As America entered the second half of the 20th century, the world watched a nation not just surviving, but soaring. From the ashes of war, the United States emerged wealthier, stronger, and more influential than ever before. In the neon-lit chaos of 1980s Wall Street, stock charts soared skyward like rockets. This was the heartbeat of capitalism. Traders moved with lightning speed. Deals were struck in seconds, and fortunes were made overnight. America had mastered the rhythm of global finance, becoming the economic pulse of the planet. But this dominance had deeper roots, planted in the quiet streets of 1950s suburbia. Post-war prosperity had given rise to a new American dream. Rows of identical houses, white picket fences, kids riding bikes, and barbecues in the backyard, all painted a picture of stability and middle-class comfort. This booming lifestyle was powered by American industry, innovation, and global reach. On the steps of the U.S. Capitol, a young president gave voice to a new era. John F. Kennedy, charismatic and visionary, stood tall and declared, "Ask not what your country can do for you." His speeches stirred hope and challenged Americans to lead, explore, and protect freedom wherever it was threatened, and protect it they did. A glowing map of the world reveals an astonishing truth. American military bases dot nearly every continent. From Europe to Asia, the stars and stripes flew high, symbolizing not just defense but influence. An aircraft carrier, a city on the sea, cut through the Pacific with fighter jets soaring above, always ready to project power wherever needed. The Cold War was more than a silent standoff. It was a battle of ideologies. Standing before the crumbling Berlin Wall, President Ronald Reagan's words echoed through history. "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." With Berlin divided behind him, Reagan captured a defining moment of courage, defiance, and leadership that accelerated the fall of the Iron Curtain. But while missiles stood ready and speeches moved nations, another revolution brewed, one of technology. In the heart of California, Silicon Valley began to glow. A constellation of skyscrapers, code, and circuitry reshaped the world. American innovation was no longer limited to factories or space missions. It was powering the digital future. Yet amid progress, another voice rose, calling for justice. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., standing before thousands, declared a dream that transcended politics. His "I Have a Dream" speech became a moral landmark, proving that America's strength also came from its conscience, its people, and their ability to demand change. In the skies over Washington, D.C., military jets roared while tanks rolled through the streets during massive parades, showcasing unmatched power. This wasn't just celebration, it was declaration. The world was watching, and America made sure its presence could not be ignored. Inside a globe-shaped vault glowing with digital light, one thing was clear: the American dollar ruled. It wasn't just currency, it was control. From trade to oil to international loans, the financial backbone of the modern world was undeniably American. This was no longer just a rising nation. It was a leader in war, peace, innovation, and ideals. As the sun sets over the ultra-modern Pentagon, its sleek structure glows under a sky filled with satellites and encrypted data streams. It's not just a building, it's the nerve center of the most advanced military and intelligence network on Earth. The United States, once a young republic, now operates with precision across land, sea, sky, and cyberspace. Beneath a fiery desert sunset, US troops move tactically through Middle Eastern terrain as helicopters hover above. This scene is more than warfare, it's projection. From Iraq to Afghanistan and beyond, American military involvement shapes regions, policies, and the balance of global power. Yet in today's world, power is no longer measured only by boots on the ground. A digital globe spins silently in cyberspace, lit by endless data streams flowing outward from the United States. These digital highways, filled with software, media, money, and influence, connect every corner of the planet. America's dominance is coded into the very fabric of the Internet. In orbit, sleek satellites marked with the U.S. emblem glide around Earth, part of the nation's growing space command. They aren't just for communication, they're eyes, ears, and shields in the vast void above. The final frontier has become another battlefield where America leads, back on Earth. The Statue of Liberty stands tall, now reimagined with a glowing torch and an American flag as her cape. She faces not just the Atlantic, but the world, with landmarks from every continent rising behind her. This is more than a symbol of freedom. It's a reminder of America's cultural and ideological footprint across the globe. On the world stage, diplomacy meets economy. American and Chinese leaders shake hands under a glowing map and shifting stock charts. It's a handshake of caution and competition, two titans balancing trade, power, and global tension. In this modern era, alliances and rivalries shape the new world order. Below the surface of global awareness, U.S. Navy submarines glide silently through the deep ocean, lit by eerie red and blue tones and sonar pulses. Unseen but always present, they represent the silent strength of a military force that can strike from anywhere and remain undetected. Meanwhile, a visual time-lapse unfolds. American cities growing from humble farmland into sprawling megacities. Skyscrapers rise, highways stretch, technology embeds itself into every brick. Urban evolution tells a story of resilience, adaptation, and ambition. Inside the United Nations, the American delegate speaks passionately before the world's representatives. It's not just about power, but policy, democracy, climate change, human rights. America's voice often dominates the room, for better or worse, shaping the very rules of international cooperation. And finally, the modern-day U.S. president sits at a global summit, surrounded by leaders from every continent. Flags ripple behind them as cameras flash. In this room, decisions are made that will define the next century. And at the center of it all, the United States, still leading, still shaping, still commanding attention. This is the modern American empire. Not one built with castles or crowns, but with technology, economy, culture, and strategy. A superpower in every dimension and still evolving.